going to be pretty horrible in very large parts of the UK, but in particular the higher parts of Wales and northern England around the Pennines. Warnings of a foot of snow, 30 centimetres in New Money, in a number of locations. We were hearing in the news about freezing rain and the problems that's going to cause. So wherever you are heading, it is likely to be fairly treacherous. And in particular, the Met Office warning of possible stranded vehicles if the snow starts drifting. Traffic Wales is saying snow and freezing rain will cause disruption between tonight and tomorrow. And even in Northern Ireland, which has a relatively benign climate, they're saying that 4 inches of snow in over higher ground with ice as an additional hazard. And if you even look ahead till Monday, the AA is predicting 50% more call-outs than normal. That will be because people's cars have been sitting on their drives. It's a big return to work for lots of people, and they think that lots of batteries will have failed.
There is that. And they also seem to be advising, if you are going to travel by road, then have a snow kit with you, blankets, food, water, maybe a shovel. It's a good idea to have those things in your car before you set off, if indeed you have to set off. Perhaps you can put that trip off for a while. Let's turn to the trains, Simon. What about problems there, and how long will these problems continue, do you think?
OK, well, it's a very high pressure weekend because lots of people returning from where they spent Christmas and New Year, going back to college, going to their place of work and so on. So it's important for everything to work well. It's not so far. We've actually had quite a lot of problems on the East Coast main line, broken down train. We've had on the West Coast main line another broken down train between Rugby and Coventry, and so there's been all kinds of disruption as usual. In terms of weather, the main problem at the moment is north from Inverness going towards Wick and Thurso. That's still got landslips caused by flooding earlier in the week. Crikey, we're only on to day 4 of this year, and it's been travel chaos wall to wall. There's also engineering works. Can you believe that? Festive engineering works still continuing through the weekend, disrupting things on the main line from London through to Southampton and in the Cambridge area. And then, well, I'm afraid tomorrow you can absolutely guarantee there will be lots of cancellations in northwest England, not actually because of the weather, but because the train crew working for Northern Trains west of the Pennines don't have to work on Sundays if they don't want to, and entirely reasonably many of them are choosing not to. And then finally, tomorrow is the last Sunday until June when you will be able to travel without a problem on Avanti West Coast, because from next Sunday onwards, every week until the 25th of May, there will be strikes.
Oh, that until just on Sundays?
Just on Sundays, yes.
But does that mean that trains then are disrupted on the Monday? Because we always hear when you have disruption on the following day, even after the disruption is finished, the trains are all in the wrong place, and that has a knock-on effect on the following day. So are Sundays and Mondays going to be a nightmare for Avanti trains?
OK, that was absolutely the case. And your recall is very good, Alexis. During the national strikes we had, and particularly the train drivers' strikes, because trains would be in the wrong places or they'd need to be put back in the right places. This is purely the Avanti West Coast train managers. And because the trains can be driven wherever they need to be because the drivers aren't on strike, it's not going to be a problem there. But of course, it is going to be a big problem for anybody wanting to get around on Sunday, which is now one of the busiest days of the week on the trains.
And Simon, just very briefly, we've done trains and automobiles. Let's do the planes. How about someone hoping to fly?
OK, 20 cancellations so far to and from Heathrow on British Airways. That's, I'm told, because of a flow rate reduction. Busiest dual runway airport in the world, of course, and every time there's weather disruption, things get slowed down. So cancellations to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Newcastle, Barcelona, Rome, but all on routes where passengers should be enabled to travel on other British Airways flights if their flight is cancelled. And so far, apart from a little bit of delay in Birmingham, in Belfast International, and in Aberdeen, things not looking too bad. But of course, do remember that British airports do tend to be very susceptible to snow, I'm afraid.
Okay. Simon Calder, as ever, thank you for your time.
Police are investigating whether icy conditions led to that incident. Amber warnings are, of course, now in place for much of the UK as temperatures are set to fall to as low as -8 degrees. Well, joining me now is meteorologist Jim Dale. Good afternoon, Jim.
Hi, Kathy. Good afternoon.
Well, tell us what the worst affected areas are expected to be.
Well, we're all in it, to be honest with you. We're all in the freezer. The polar front went south 24, 36 hours ago, and it's more or less staying there. Now, it will be threatened by a frontal system coming in from the southwest during the course of tomorrow. So tonight is all about ice. There is some snow showers still in the northeast of Scotland. They'll continue, but for the most part, it's ice tonight. And then we look to the southwest, and it's around about midday. So there's no threat really, before then, apart from the ice and maybe some freezing fog. Let's throw that one in as well. What we're then seeing is this frontal system coming in. Now it's a warm front, so it's milder air, but it's hitting the cold air, and this is the problem, because as it does so, it's going to produce snow, sleet, and in places freezing rain. Now the snow situation, Exmoor, Dartmoor, I think in the southwest to begin with. And then it's just going to start moving northeastwards. And look, the amber warnings are there for a good reason. They do cover the ice, but for the most part, it is snow. And even if you're in a yellow area, it is still going to be hazardous, because this snow, even in the London area, which doesn't often see snow, likely to see snow tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening particularly, moving northwards. And by the time it gets to through the Midlands and into the Northern Ireland included, and particularly Wales, there's going to be huge amounts of snow falling. It's one of those situations where, the next news item is people stuck on motorway X or motorway Y, because they're all gridlocked and, it's blizzard conditions.
So it's going to be, there's that much snow in Wales in particular.
In Wales.
Elsewhere in England as well, or not?
Yeah, Northern England, the Midlands. I think that's the demarcation. That isn't to say that some of the southern counties to begin with isn't going to see the snow. They will, and eventually this will move into southern Scotland as well. So really and truly, it's all the UK. But what will happen in the south as we go through into Sunday is it will mild up in those southern counties slowly. 13 degrees by the time we get to the teeth of the day on Sunday in London. So you can see. But you don't have to go too far and you end up back in freezing again. And all of this is going to feed back in again during Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, all back into the freezer with further snow in the north particularly. So you can see it really is a smorgasbord of weather that we've got, and most of it being of a high wintry nature.
How long is this cold snap going to last?
Good question. It's one of those how long's a piece of string questions. At the moment, I don't see any let up this side of mid-month. So there might be a couple of forays here or there, but no, I think we're going to keep the old woolies on and keep the guard and keep safe. That's the word I want to put across.
Yeah. Well, just
in all that period. Yeah, go on.
Just briefly, how does this winter compare to last? It feels like it's been a lot colder, but maybe I just forgotten.
You've forgotten. Because there was some snow last winter in various places. It does happen. We get small snatches of it, if that's the sort of way it goes. And this is the first real, what you might call big punch, big cold punch. So this is the first one. We've got time for a second and third, but for now, we got a couple of weeks of this at least, but it's really this weekend that we've got to highlight at this moment in time, and we'll look after what comes after that step by step.
Yeah. Well, Jim Dale, meteorologist, thank you very much